Welcome back to One-on-One Shadowboxing. We are here in the studio with Tom Logue, who is today's guest. Tom, we discussed the shark attacks on the beaches of WA, at least on Cottesloe. What sort of other dangers we got on the beach in WA?
Oh, well, obviously, the actual ocean itself, people need to be very aware of the ocean itself, and I swim there every day. It's often the same. This morning it was different. I was swimming from north to south along Cottesloe Beach. There's a bigger swell this morning. I picked an alley that I was swimming across. I got about halfway across and this wave picked me up sideways and cartwheeled me with just enormous force over and over. And the fellow that was on the outside of me finished up on the inside. An older person or a younger person or a less experienced person going into the surf like that, experiencing something like that, well, it could have happened to me too. You can break a shoulder, you can break a collarbone, you can break a neck. That kind of thing is not common, but it does happen. So that's very important. Swimming between the flags obviously helps you a great deal. If you go down to a beach like, Cottesloe, and there are European people there, you see them coming there from other countries, and it isn't so cold for them in the middle of winter. They need to move to a place where other people are swimming at least, so there's some safety for them. So there's those safeties. So the other things just to be careful of around a place like Cottesloe during the winter are things like, cobblers in the weed as you're walking in and out of the water. That's a fairly common thing too, standing on those sorts of things as well. During the summer, there are the stingers.
What solution we got? How can we make our beaches more attractive and more sustainable for the safe use?
Can I say there's no overall solution? I think if we want whales, which we want, we must have these big sharks. I mean, to kill these sharks, to me, is very arrogant, and they have a place in the ocean the same as whales. They mightn't be very inviting at times, but these are an ancient species, and we don't have the right to just go and kill them. But I think if we're going to have whales, we're going to have to learn to live with them. Obviously, the ocean is a big place, and you can't control it.
Yes,
it's too vast. Sure. But there are certain areas that you can. Near the popular beaches, and particularly my beach, down there at Cottesloe, where there's been so many shark sightings and deaths, I've looked at an ocean pool, looked at it for some time now, over 12 years. You only have to look at Sydney. There's 100 of these pools around the harbour and the beaches. There's at least 30 in and along, the Sydney beaches. Anyone that's been along, the Sydney beaches will see these pools. Generally, they're easier to build there because of the rock formations, but at a place like Cottesloe, you have a groin.
Yes.
So you do have a rock formation. You've got one wall of the pool to start with. What I propose now is to add a second wall parallel to that and to join the top of that. Now, that will create a safe enclosure, always, against anyone that's, concerned with sharks. And, people like myself, I never used to be concerned with sharks. I am. Children, like my grandchildren. I have a grandson, Thomas. He's a champion of his age group down at Secret Harbour Surf Club. I took him for a swim down at South Beach.
Yes.
Quite a safe beach. I go in the water with Thomas for a swim. He said, "Don't go out there, Pop. Sharks." And straight away, I think, gee, he's growing up a lot different to me. I never even thought of that when I went to the beach when I was a kid. Children now, as they're coming to the beach, they're coming there with an awareness of sharks, a fear of sharks. A pool in a popular beach like ours at Cottesloe allows you to introduce children to the ocean, let them feel safe, let their families feel safe, start them there.
The size of that pool, what you are proposing in Cottesloe, or just described before, what sort of size we're talking about?
We're talking about the length of the Cottesloe groin, which is approximately 70 metres from the beach out to the end. So We're looking at a 70-metre pool. You can walk in if you're a toddler, or if you're a mother, or if you're a disabled person, or if you're old and infirm, or if you're frightened of the surf, or if you're frightened of the sharks. This is a place where you can enter safely. And then go out deeper and deeper and deeper as you would at the beach. It's about 70 metres long.
Yes.
It'll be about 25 to 30 metres wide.
Right.
Now, that's been done. I've approached the University of Western Australia. I can tell you a little bit more about that if you wish.
Yes,
but,
please.
when I was thinking of this, I looked around. I had two gentlemen that unfortunately passed away when we're right in the middle of developing this. One was a fellow called Tim Willoughby. He was the chairman of the WA Olympic Committee. He was a champion person and a man of vision. The other one was a fellow called Don Morrison, who was a champion surf lifesaver. And if you like, is the kind of godfather of this project. Don's gone too. But both of those people believed in the safety value and the recreational value of these things. They had seen them all the way around the world. Don had been in Australian surf lifesaving teams, toured all over Australia, toured all over the world with these teams. And he knew how they worked. Having a pool like this, and after they died, I felt their loss greatly. I would have liked to have given up at that point. But in the early hours of every morning, it was almost like they were there talking to me. I knew the sort of thing that they wanted. I wasn't capable of designing it. I had the general principle. I looked around and I thought, who is the very best person I can go to for advice? Both of these fellows, they're both champions. They didn't know how to do anything that wasn't the best. So I knew that was the criteria for me. I looked around and I came across a fellow called Jorg Imberger. Now, Jorg is the 2008 WA Scientist of the Year. He's one of a panel of 6 hired by BP to consult on their terrible oil spill. He is a world-class scientist. So I rang a few times. I finally got in to speak to him as I'm speaking to you, and he gave me the time of day. I explained to him what I was thinking about and asked him, could it be done?
And he said, answer?
Yes, it could. But if he was going to do it, he wanted to model it scientifically. I was thrilled, but I was also dismayed because I never had the money to hire a Jorg Imberger. I'm not BP. But Jorg liked the project. He talked about it and looked around, and he called me back and said, look, this is something we think we can help you with. I've sourced someone from the engineering department who's doing a thesis. I can use them to do a lot of the work that I'll direct them to, and I can use my department as well. Off the beach now, you'll see buoys in the water which are funded by the project. I believe they've been funded by a fellow called Buckridge, and the feasibility study is underway. There are other people too. I can't mention their names now because I don't have their permission, but there's some very serious people at the very highest level that are very interested in it, including, I could say, a Stirling City councillor, Alicia Jacks, who's very keen on it for other beaches up the coast because they're so environmentally friendly. The ocean water's free. If they're designed well, they self-flush, and they're low-energy installations.
So what do you think, Tom? When are we going to have the first ocean pool in WA?
We should have had it years ago, Tibor, but certainly by the end of this year, the feasibility study out of the Centre for Water Research, Professor Imberger, will be available. Now that'll be there. It'll be a scientific model. It'll be there for all levels of government and the public to have a look at. It'll be available through the University of Western Australia's Centre for Water Research. It'll be available for schools to do projects with, for the general public to comment on, and for all levels of government really to have a look at.
So we're not just going to need the money. From next year, we need some money to build the pool after the feasibility study.
I tell you now,
yes,
I've always said this, and I firmly believe it, the money is the easiest part of this project. The hardest part, as government,
Government.
Government of all levels of just opening up their eyes and ears.
Our Premier is leaving in Cottesloe.
Our Premier has always been positive about this project. Never ever been negative.
Yes.
But he stood back from the local government, and that's taken time, a great deal of time. They're careful people, I can understand that, but it's been going for 12 years now.
Long enough.
Long enough. And with this study, once that's available, we've demonstrated over and over again good public support for this. You're not on an electoral, loser. Mark McGowan jumped the gun at last election, offered 3 of these pools down the coast. They are no-brainers. They are up and down the coast in Sydney. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out that they actually work. And we all live in Australia here. It's not 2 different planets, although you'd swear it was at times. But it could be here. And I think once you get one, and the first one should be at Cottesloe, we've laboured long and hard enough. And it's such an ideal spot. That corner is out of the wind, it's out of the Fremantle Doctor. You can go along the beaches on a windy day in the middle of summer, and you'll see them empty, empty, empty. And you come up to that little corner in Cottesloe, I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yes,
but there'll be people sitting all around there on the grass, going down on the sand and into that niche near the groin there. That's the spot for the first one. You could have another one at City Beach. You could have another one on the other side of Trigg Island. You could have one up at Sorrento. You could have one around North Beach.
Tom, thank you for coming in here to one-on-one shadowboxing and sharing your vision for ocean pools for WA. I'm going to swim on South Beach until the pool is built in Cottesloe, then I may shift. Thanks again and good luck, and would like to see this beach with the pool soon as possible.
Thank you, Tibor.
Please come back next week, same time, same channel, one-on-one shadowboxing.